Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of What Did I Play This Thursday. So this is a kind of a series of my first impressions of games that I've never played before that we played at last night's Thursday's board game club in Chippenham, where I go and learn new games or take games that I want to teach people. So this series is about games that I've not played before, or I don't own, or they're more than two players, obviously, was what we normally concentrate on. So this is kind of really just my first impressions of a game that I've not played before and whether I like it or not, and so on. So hopefully you're enjoying this series. I guess at this point in the video, when I kind of surprise you with what game it is, if you've played it before and you don't want to watch this video, then I guess you can just stop the video. But I'm kind of tempted to put the picture of what I played up on the thumbnail. But I thought it was actually quite a nice surprise to see what it is. So sorry if you kind of get to this point and you think, oh, I've played that, so I don't need to watch it. So it just makes it more interesting for people that have not played to sort of figure out what it is, and then, oh, this is good, I want to see what this is like. So hopefully you're enjoying it. Put some comments in the comments below if you think I should do it differently. I'm happy to kind of listen to my viewers and see what they think. But anyway, enough of this rambling. What did I play this Thursday? Okay, so I'm going to kind of cover two games in this one video. They're pretty much the same game, and I played one last Thursday and one this Thursday. It's Friday morning now. They're pretty much the same game, but one is like a reprint of the earlier version, and the earlier version just a little bit clunkier, I guess, although I enjoyed it just as much. So the early game that good old Mike brought, he brings a lot of old-fashioned games. I say old-fashioned, it's a bit unfair, but they are kind of, 1990s, 20,000, 2000 sort of era, 20 years ago. Anyway, so the first game that he brought was Detroit Cleveland Grand Prix, which has been remade to, and then Brig brought this the week after to play that as well, Downforce. So basically this is Downforce or Detroit Cleveland Grand Prix. My first impressions, I'll say straight off the bat, they are good. I really enjoy a little race game. Fairly similar to, let's say, Ave Caesar, I guess, that kind of race game, if you know that. And so basically, you are in this game, obviously it's F1 sort of cars that you're racing. They play very similarly, although in Detroit Cleveland Grand Prix, the older version, there's paper money. So there's a bid at the beginning, an auction at the beginning, where you bid on cars and you try to buy the cars, and then you race those cars and you win money accordingly if you come for a second, third, that sort of thing. In Downforce, there's no paper money, and you actually use the cards that you use for your movement as your auction bidding cards. So it actually kind of releases the fact that you need spare money as well as the cards. So it gets rid of some components, but also it just works a little bit better, I think. So so I understand why they kind of got rid of the money. I like money personally, and I like paper money as well. So because it feels real, right? Okay. This streamlines it a little bit. So let's explain how it plays really. First of all, so there are, I'm gonna say 6 cars. Yeah, I think 6 cars. My first impressions, I might be wrong, maybe 8. There are 6 cars, all different colours, red, green, yellow, blue, black, whatever. And they are available to buy at the beginning of the race. So I'll jump back to that in a second. So they're all available to buy, and you want to buy them because then you want to get them further on in the race. And you buy them using the movement cards, and there are movement cards that you'll get dealt out a certain number of cards depending on how many players there are, and all of those cards have a sequence of colours on and numbers on those colours, and they are the movement for those colours at any given point when you lay that card. So for instance, there might be a card that has got a green and then a red and then a yellow and then an orange sequence, and then numbers accordingly. So green might be 6, red might be 5, and so on and so on. And you move those cards, I won't say cards, you move those cars with those cards when you lay them, and you move all the cards that are on that card. So obviously, when you're trying to kind of explain this, when you're bidding at the beginning to buy a colour car, you want to buy a car that you've got a lot of 6s and 5s, let's say, in your hand. So when you get the cards dealt out, you look at your movement cards and you think, oh, I've got a lot of high valued greens, 6s and 5s, and a couple of wilds. I can add all those together. They make up quite a lot of numbers that I can kind of move my car quite fast. So you'll be bidding on the green car, that kind of logic. Not 100% dead cert that situation, but that's kind of more or less the idea. So you want to kind of bid on the cards that you've got lots of numbers, high numbers on your cards. But bear in mind, other people also have a couple of those too, so they might have your colour with a high number, but of course they're going to try and mess you up a bit by using that number when you can't move, things like that. Anyway, so we'll get to that. And so you bid for the colours that you want by laying a card down, and the value of your colour that you're bidding for will be your bid. So let's say, for instance, the green car is up for sale. You put down a card with a green 6 power. That would be $6 million that you're bidding for that car. If somebody else bids 5 green, they'd be 5 million. You beat them. That sort of logic. So the highest bidder wins it, and that is your car in the race. You can get more than one car, depends how many players there are. So in the games we were playing last night, 4, 5, 6 players, maximum 2 cars that you're going to get. You might end up with one, you might end up with none. So you race the cars around, but you can also bet on the other cars. So you're not necessarily trying to just win with your colours that you own, but you're also thinking, well, you know what, blue's doing really well. I don't own blue, but I'm going to bet on blue because I think he's going to do really well. And there are 3 parts of in downforce, I'm speaking specifically, on the track there are 3 yellow marks that when you pass those yellow marks, everybody gets a chance to bet on the other cars. So there are 3 sections, bet 1, bet 2, bet 3, where you can say, well, I'm going to put a cheeky bet against blue, or I see yellow's doing well now, I'll bet on that one. So you can bet on the same colour card, you can bet on your cards, you can bet on any cards, but the whole point is that when those cars come into first, second, third, fourth position, on the score sheet at the end, depending on what you bet on and whether you own that car and all that sort of stuff, you then get prize money allocated to you, either for the bets that you've made, or if you're the owner of the car and it wins, there's a certain amount of prize money. But then you also deduct off the price that you bid for your car. So for instance, you might buy the green car with $6 million, it might win and you might get 50 million, but then you might lose a couple of bets, you might have to take off the 6 million. There's kind of a sliding scale. It's very simple, and the score sheet is very easily read, but that's how it works. You pay money for your car, but that comes off the final winnings, all that kind of stuff. Very simple. So again, like I say, when you lay a card down, you resolve all the colour sequences in order. So 6 green, for instance, you move the car 6, the green car 6, and then the next one down might be orange 4, so you move the orange car 4, and the next one down might be red 2, you move the red car 2. And the idea from your point of view is you can kind of block each other off on the little chicanes where it goes down to 1 lane. They can only move up to the back end of the car in front, they can't go over the top, and so you might be 1 space away with the red car and you get a 6 power, you lay that down, it can only move 1. That's how you kind of screw over the other players, by laying a card down of a higher number that they can't use. So it uses up their numbers in the overall scheme of things, and so that slows them down overall. There are also little white lines in the grid, on the card stripes, and white is a wild card. So you can allocate that as the person that's playing that card. You could allocate that to any colour as long as it's not already on the card. So if you've got a card with green, yellow and white, you move the green, you move the yellow, and then the white you can move any colour except for green and yellow, which are already on that card. So you can move the red, however many it is. So there are all those things, and then on top of that there's a couple of sort of powers that when you buy the car, you get a special power, and some of the powers are, for instance, you can move an extra space, you can move 2 extra spaces, you can do the order in reverse order, you can choose to allocate you can choose to ignore one of the colours on the card, things like that. So they're kind of their flavoured text as well. It sort of says determined or speedy or excited, whatever. But they are powers that you can utilise throughout the game just to give you a bit of, there's asymmetry in the game that kind of moves the cards in different ways. Very simple. Quite a lot of take that, where you can block each other off, and then, like I say, you can use high numbers when they can't move. So technically, that's a wasted card for their vehicle. Very simple, very fun, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed both versions, so the Detroit Cleveland Grand Prix and Downforce. One's just older than the other, and it's a little bit clunkier, I guess, but very similar play, very similar sort of fun factor to it, where you're kind of, you're just trying to beat the other players and also screw them over by blocking them and stuff. Hilarious. I really enjoyed it, and it works well so we played it, I think we played it a 4 and a 5 and a 6 over the last couple of weeks. Really good. I really enjoy it. I'm going to get this game for sure, an iteration of it, probably Downforce, I guess, because it's more finessed and it looks nicer, because I think it probably play well at 2. I don't know, I haven't played it at 2, but I think Bear would love it, and I think her family would like it as well. So I think this is definitely one that we'll keep on the radar, and we'll get this one. So hopefully this has been informational to you. If you've not played Downforce, I would recommend that you find it and find somebody to play it with, because it is really good fun, and yeah, sneaky game, hilarious. To be fair, I think I ended up with a minus figure every game, but anyway, there you go. I overspent on the bid, basically, and then bet badly. Anyway, so Downforce, big thumbs up from me. Hopefully this has been informational for you. Thanks very much, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.